Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another video here on the channel. This is my 2023 new releases video. I did a few of these last year. I think I did about 4 new releases videos. I like making them. I like talking about new releases. I like getting excited about things, and I think based on the views, you do too. We're talking about science fiction and fantasy. Previous years there's been a lot more YA on my new releases list. There's less of that this year. We're mainly talking about sci-fi and fantasy of the adult variety in... you know what I mean. My current full list of 2023 releases is 49 books long. I'm not talking about all 49 here. A lot of those are books that I've just kind of quietly noted in the back of my mind, and if I hear anything good about them, I'll want to read them. What I'm going to talk about now is the books that have really piqued my interest, some of which I'm going to use this video as an opportunity to do some looking up, check what they're about, because most of the time I've gone, ooh, I love that author, I'll see what that book is, or ooh, that looks like a rather snazzy cover, or what an intriguing title, or maybe my favourite author is quoted on the cover, and then I never look up what they're about and then I don't read them, so this is what this video is for. I think I'm just going to go through the year. I was going to categorise these, but I think let's just do months. I think that makes more sense. I have my laptop in front of me, I have my phone in case I need to look anything up. Let's go! She says, immediately cleaning her glasses instead. First up, let it be known that I'm filming this before the 10th of January, but on the 10th of January, before this video goes out, there are a number of books releasing, one of which is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I have already read this. If you will remember from, if you're a patron, my wrap-up, or if you are a person who just watches my weekly videos, from those, I was so on this. I actually think it probably warrants a reread. Just having looked back at my December books, I was not in a good reading place, so I will probably reread this, especially before the next book comes out, but this is a book about Emily Wilde, who is a scholar composing an Encyclopedia of Fairies, would you believe it? And this is kind of the story written in her diary entries of her expedition to Hrafnsvik, where there are fairies and she is investigating them. She goes there, she gets involved in an adventure. There's also a scholarly rival grumpies to lovers kind of thing going on in this book, which was what made it less good for me, but I think would probably make it very good for other people. This is now out if you want to read this, but this is one of my 2023 releases that I wanted to talk about. Another one that I've already read early in the year, there are quite a few of these. This is Lost in the Moment and Found by Shannon Maguire. This is the next book in the Wayward Children series. I do have a review video for this video that will either be already up or about to go up by the time you're watching this, so you can check that out if you want. This is a series of Portal Fantasy books, or books about Portal Fantasy worlds, and this is one that is a complete Portal Fantasy. We have a main character, Anthe, who escapes a very horrible living situation and ends up going through a door into the place where lost things go, or indeed the shop where lost things go, and it is sort of beginning to get a little bit meta into how the doors work in this world, and this universe, I should say, and it's a really great book if you already love that series. One of the things that has been said about it is you could technically start the series here. If you've watched my review, you'll know I don't recommend doing that just because I think this is slightly heavier than the other books in the series, and this is not a light series to begin with, but I did really enjoy it. I think fans of the series are going to enjoy it, and if this is an opportunity for you to jump onto Wayward Children, I think you should take that opportunity. The Daughters of Izdihar by Hadia Elspy. This is also out on the 10th of January because everything's coming out then. This is a adult fantasy, but I think if you are a person who has read a lot of YA and enjoyed it, I think you could also enjoy this, just it's obviously aging up a bit. It is in a world that is inspired by the contemporary history of Egypt. Complicated to say, but modern Egypt essentially, but the history of that. And we have 2 women. We have Nahal, who is a somewhat spoiled, wealthier person who is wanting to go to the Weaver Academy in order to expand her water weaving skills, elemental powers. But she can't go unless her husband, who she is in an arranged marriage with, agrees for her to go. We also have Georgina, who is a poorer person. She works in a bookshop, and she is secretly an earth weaver, and she is working with the Daughters of Izdihar, who are a group of women in the city who want to encourage women's rights. They want women to be able to vote, is kind of the biggest thing that's going on here. These 2 women get brought together in a lot of ways by Nahal's new husband, and as is the case with fantasy protagonists, they get involved in something much bigger than themselves, but also there's a lot of learning along the way. I loved this book. I don't know if you can tell based on how much I'm talking about it, but I just think it's fantastic. I had a really great time reading it. I think it's going to be one of the big ones for this year, and I'm really excited to read the sequel when it does come out. That is the Alamaxa duology is what that's going to be called. I think the city is called Alamaxa. Last of the books that I have read, I wanted to talk about this because I have read the first book. This is A Magic Steeped in Poison, book 1. The sequel, A Venom, Dark and Sweet, is the second book, and this is out in the UK on the 10th of January as well. 17th of January, we finally moved past it. This has been out in other places for a while, but we finally have it in the UK. I really enjoyed this sequel. I think it is it's a YA fantasy duology sequel, so they never quite hit as hard with me, but it does do what I wanted it to do, which is have the tea magic that we had in book 1 continue into book 2. So if you enjoy the concept of tea magic, I think this would be a good book for you. I'm not going to go into the huge overarching plot of the book because I think that would spoil book 1 for people who haven't read that. We have tea magic, we have kind of court politics and royal politics and so such, and a hefty dose dose of romance if you're interested in that kind of thing. On the 17th of January also, we have The Mysteries of Thorn Manor by Margaret Rogerson. This is the companion novella that goes with Sorcery of Thorns. Sorcery of Thorns, librarian, but in a kind of spooky way, hot wizard boyfriend, but in a kind of spooky way. And this is a novella that is about Thorn Manor, where our main character lives, and there's going to be a mystery. That's the title of the book. I don't know what I'm talking about, but essentially I think it's just going to be, you like these characters, here, see them in this adventure. I'm fairly sure it's not going to go beyond that. I'm going to read this, I'm going to have a lovely time with it. It's going to be cozy but spooky in a wonderful Margaret Rogerson kind of way. I'm really looking forward to it. Novella, there we go. Samantha Shannon's A Day of Fallen Night. This is the sequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, which is out of frame, so you can't see it, but it is there. I actually already have a review copy of this, and I have started it at the time of filming. I'm hoping by the time this video goes up, I will have finished it. It is long, but it is so far very good. This is a high fantasy, epic fantasy set in the same world as Priory of the Orange Tree, but many, many years before the events of the Priory of the Orange Tree. So we're featuring characters and names that are familiar because of the strong kind of history that's flowing through those two books, but it is a brand new story. And so far, very much enjoying it. Having to stop at the start of every single chapter and realign myself with whose name I'm following, because as you all know, I have a hard time remembering which character is which, but I'm taking it slow and I'm having a good time. And this is definitely one of those books that I think is going to be a big hit for people, but it might take them a while to get to it. However, reading it is making me remember how much I really did like The Priory of the Orange Tree, and I should do a reread of it at some point this year. I need to put it in the schedule. Next up, another that I have a review copy of, which hopefully by the time you're watching this I will be reading. This is The Terraformers by Annalee Newitz. As you all know, I really enjoyed their previous works, Autonomous and The Future of Another Timeline. Very dark, but really thought-provoking kind of sci-fi. This seems to be no different. Destry works on the planet, as her parents did before her, preserving the ecosystem. And then I believe the kind of, and then everything changed moment of this book is discovering a whole bunch of people who shouldn't exist inside a volcano. My guess is this is going to be along the lines of you thought you were doing great things, but maybe you were actually doing not so great things kind of book, and I'm excited to learn more about it. My suspicion, dark, thought-provoking sci-fi, but I don't know that for sure yet. Really excited to get to it. That's out on the 31st of January. I should say, with all of these, I'm dealing with pub dates that I've got from various different sources that may or may not be correct, and if they might be UK versus US, I don't know. If it seems wrong, it might just be wrong. On the 2nd of March, we have The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. This is the newest book from S.A. Chakraborty, who obviously wrote the David trilogy. I love the David trilogy with all of my heart. It's one of my favourite series of all time. I must do a reread at some point, but this is brand new, really exciting. I think it's going to have, well, I know because I'm looking at the listing, pirates and sorcerers, forbidden artifacts and ancient mysteries, and one woman's quest to seize a final chance at glory. I'm really excited for the prospect of a pirate adventure book. I haven't read a really, really good pirate book or naval book in quite some time, and I just think this is going to be fantastic and probably will break my heart into a million pieces, and I'm going to be really annoyed because I have to wait for the next one, but that's fine. On the 7th of March, we have The Faithless, which is the sequel to The Unbroken, one of the big Sapphic trifecta books of 2021 or 2020? I can't remember. I'm really, really excited for this. I again can't go into the plot too much because it would spoil book one for you, but based purely on the cover alone, I am super hyped for this book and the characters, and I'm really excited to reread The Unbroken. Every single one of the Sapphic trifecta books, every time I reread them or there's like a new addition to them, I just get so excited and I have a wonderful time, and I'm really excited for this series to continue because I love the Oleander Sword so much. I know I'm going to love this. Going to be a great time. 28th of March, A House with Good Bones is coming out. This is new T. Kingfisher. There are a couple of T. Kingfisher books on this list. I'm really excited to read them. This is a haunted house story, I believe. It is a kind of modern horror kind of story. T. Kingfisher writes a lot of various different things, but a lot of them have this kind of spooky edge, and I'm really excited to read this haunted house kind of vibe. I feel like this is going to be like a more fantastical version of Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey, that kind of creepy house going home but it not feeling right kind of story. So I'm very, very excited to read this. If I don't get to this in March, I might push it to October and do a spooky TBR. A novella coming out in April is Fonda Lee's Untethered Sky. Fonda Lee, one of my top authors, love the Jade City series. It's over here. I just really love that. I'm really excited for this. This is a shorter story, obviously, of a woman whose family is killed by a manticore, and she ends up going on something of an adventure. I assume it's some sort of revenge quest, is my guess, and it involves the giant rocks, so big, big birds. Yes, the rocks of legend are flown to hunt manticores by their brave and dedicated rookers. One of my favourite character things of all time is you have been paired with an animal and you must, you know, go out together and bond, and animal companions are always good, so I'm really, really looking forward to reading this. I will be be ordering a copy. I will be enjoying it. Thank you so much. Possibly 25th of April, not 100% sure. There's a couple of different dates for this. In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. This is new Klune, but Klune of the kind of, I believe, slightly wholesome variety, but I think this is going to have a spooky element to it, purely because it's a Pinocchio retelling and Pinocchio is inherently spooky to me. Don't ask me why. So family of robots living hidden and safe, then they discover a bad thing about them, people are trying to get them, they have to go off together. The main character is conflicted about their part in this, and it's going to be found family guilt therapy. It's going to be great. I'm going to have a great time. I'm probably going to cry. Moving into May, the 4th of May, I have Gareth Hanrahan's newest book, The Sword Defiant. Gareth Hanrahan wrote the, where's it? They were behind me. They're not anymore. I think I took them downstairs. He's writing the Gutter Prayer series, which we are on book 3 of 5, but this is a new series that he is starting, and in it we have a dark world of prophecy, I believe. A world of dark myth and dangerous prophecy. Characters in sort of a very Nicholas Eames way, who did save the world at one point and now have to do another quest even though they are much older, but I believe this book is taking less of a comedic angle on that, and more of a, this main character now has to come to terms with the fact that these friends who they kind of saved the world with may have become leaders, may have become less great people. The end tagline is, if there's one thing Aelfric knows, it's slaying monsters, even if they used to be his friends. I have a lot of emotions about this. I think it's going to be interesting to see whether I like this or not, because it sounds like it's going to be a lot more I am a man and I hit things with my sword kind of book, which isn't necessarily always my cup of tea, but I loved the Gutter Prayer so much. I loved the world building, I loved the city-based fantasy, that I'm willing to give this a shot. I will say, if it's not a win for me, I will put it down, but I wanted to mention it because, yeah, I'm intrigued by the idea of this new series, and also I really want to support Gareth Hanrahan, so he'll write the rest of the Gutter Prayer. Genevieve Cogman, who also wrote the Invisible Library series, a series I need to finish, is coming out with a new book again in May. This is Scarlet. It is a reimagining of the story of the Scarlet Pimpernel in revolutionary France, where the aristocrats are also vampires. The Scarlet Pimpernel is going to be rescuing them. This is the first of a new series, so I'm expecting this will be another one of those books where I go, this was great, and now I have to wait for the rest of them. But I think it's going to be like a fun, adventure-y romp kind of story. Also, vampires, French Revolution, it just sounds like it's going to be fun, doesn't it? It could either be fun or deeply emotionally distressing. Let's find out together. A little bit more YA on this list, coming into still May. Yes, 16th of May, Venom and Vow by A.M. McLemore and their partner, whose name is not listed on this because Goodreads is bad at listing multiple authors. But we have basically a lot of queer characters. There's a Prince story, and it's a kind of like, what's the word? Twins sort of thing, Shakespearean almost. The prince doubling for his brother is the vibe that we're going for. I think this is going to be really good fun. I think it's going to be a good YA book. A. McLemore always kills it for me. I think this is just going to be a great book, and at this point I've read all of their other stuff. I'm going to read this as well. 18th of May we have the sequel to Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. I nearly said Margaret Rogerson again. It's not. Painted Devils is out, and this is a sequel, so I can't talk about it in too much detail, but essentially I think we're going to have the story of the main character after the events of book 1. Shocking absolutely no one. I really loved Little Thieves. I thought it was a really enjoyable book. I'm excited to read a sequel. Another sequel that I'll touch on very quickly, the sequel to HMRC, or Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson, is out. It is called The Shadow Cabinet. I will be reading it because the first book left me on a cliffhanger that I'm still not okay about. I really enjoyed these. These are witchy, modern witchy books, and I just had a great time. I don't think they'll be everyone's cup of tea, but they definitely were mine. New fantasy trilogy from R.J. Barker. Who is excited? I am excited. The Gods of the Weirdwood, or just Gods of the Weirdwood? Yes, there is no the, is out on the 29th of June this year, and I'm so excited. I love R.J. Barker's work. I have read the Bone Ships trilogy, which I absolutely loved. I read the Wounded Kingdom trilogy last year, which I absolutely loved, and I'm just so excited to pick this up. This features a forester who is the man who can navigate the dangerous deep forest like no one else, but he has obviously a backstory that we're going to get into, I'm sure, in the books, and him and another person go into the very dangerous forest in order to rescue a child, and you just know it's going to be more than that. But I'm so excited for R.J. Barker writing me a spooky forest book. I love spooky forest books. I'm so thrilled. Can it be June now? On the 1st of August we have more new T. Kingfisher, and this is a fairy tale book, and you know I love Nettle and Bone with all of my being, so I'm so thrilled to have Thornhedge coming out. This is a fairy tale inspired book in that we have Sleeping Beauty elements to it, but we also have Frog Prince elements, except that the main character of this is Toadling, who is a frog lady. Meet Toadling. On the day of her birth, she was stolen from her family by the fairies, but she grew up safe and loved in the warm waters of fairyland. So Toadling is going on an adventure. I'm pretty sure, I don't know for certain, but I would hope that this is going to be another kind of adventuring party kind of book. I'm so excited for this. I really want to meet Toadling. I want it to be August already. Not that I'm wishing the year away, But I really want to read more T. Kingfisher right now, please, thank you. A book where I definitely can't talk about it in too much detail because it is the third book in a series. I think this is the only one that's like a conclusion on this list at the moment, because we're in one of those periods where a lot of series are very much in the middle. This is Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick. This is the third book in the Rook and Rose series, and I'm so hyped for it. I can't talk about it because obviously it would be revealing a whole lot of spoilers for books 1 and 2, but trust me when I say, I will be reading this book the moment it gets into my grubby little paws, and I will be thoroughly enjoying it. I need to make sure I leave a lot of space in kind of the 2 months before, because I'm fairly sure I'll get a review copy in order to do a full reread of this series. And the last thing I want to talk about, again in not too much detail because it's a sequel, is Heavenly Light, which is the sequel to Iron Widow. Loved Iron Widow, had a great time with it, thought it was fun and punchy YA that I really enjoyed. It was exactly the kind of thing I wanted to read. Really hyped for the sequel coming out in, again, I think that's August. Yes, towards the end of August next year. I just really want to read this, please and thank you. That is just a small selection of all of the things I'm really excited for next year. Even looking down this list, I'm like, oh, I could talk about the Brandon Sanderson Secret Project, or oh, there's a new Claire Legrand coming out, and there's new Adrian Tchaikovsky, and there's all kinds of things coming. Doubtless there'll be more things announced in the coming weeks because that does tend to be how it goes. But I'm just so excited to get to these. I will say a lot of these are big publishers because that tends to be the easiest thing for me to find. If you know any indie books that you're really excited for, or any self-published things that you're really hyped for, I would love for you to put them down in the comments below. That is something I'm definitely missing out on in my reading. I'm not reading much, if any, indie stuff at all, so anything that you're really hyped for, please do let me know. Just any new releases you're really excited for, really. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also follow me on social media. Come hang out on Discord where we have chill chats about books. Let me know what you're excited about in longer form text there. I'd like to say an enormous, huge, squishy thank you to all the ghosts who haunt me over on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content and live streams. I am sorting out live streams for the new year now that I'm going to be back in a bit more of a routine, though I feel like this year is going to be another year of a lot of change. But live streams will happen and that will be one of the changes. Thank you so much for watching. That's all from me and I will see you in the next one. It's gonna be some bloopers now. My current full list of 2023 I need to stop saying 2021, don't I? In that perfect Margaret Rockerson. Moving into May, the 4th of May, I have The Sword Defiant. I don't have it. It doesn't exist. In revolutionary France, where the aristocrats